Hello and welcome to Parapsychology Today. I'm Noah Ariel, and our guest today is paranormal researcher Isela Madriz. Hi. She hosts a YouTube channel on behalf of the Society of Parapsychological and Paranormal Studies in Costa Rica, which is a nonprofit organization that seeks to study various paranormal phenomena that focuses on theoretical research and controlled experimentation. Her main goal is to publish results and conclusions that have scientific veracity, providing resources to paranormal researchers and the general public to reach a deeper understanding of these phenomena. So, as far as I understand, areas of investigation will include parapsychology, the paranormal, noetic sciences, UFO phenomena, and cryptozoology. Today, I'm going to ask you about yourself and discuss your organization. So, welcome.
Thank you very much. Sorry, I was a little bit excited to be here. Thanks for the invite.
I love it. I love your energy. So I'd like to begin by letting people know that we met through an event hosted by the Parapsychological Association that gets hosted on a monthly basis. It was my first event. I had just joined that month, and it's a gathering that enables members to learn about what's currently being researched in the field and to inspire innovation and future international projects. So when I got into this, I didn't realize, I realized very quickly that it is a global underworld. How quickly did you discover that?
Well, it was very interesting. To answer that, I have to go back a little bit to how I started. So I fell in love with paranormal since I was a child for different things that were happening to me. But it was till I joined and I became a paranormal investigator by around 2012. Like I joined a professional group. They had the parapsychological insight of things as well, which but not every group, paranormal group does. Sometimes they just leave parapsychology aside, which I think it's a mistake. But after a few years of being like studying, reading by myself and with the group, uh, I found out that all these organizations were doing like real academic research. It's not that what I was doing wasn't real, because paranormal investigation, like field investigation, is focused on helping families and is something that I loved, but I still love doing. But I felt that things needed like to get like to complement each other. And that's when I started to look for academic courses and formations, capacitations that I could take to learn to learn about all those investigations that academics were doing. Because sometimes in this field investigations, things get a little bit more influenced by TV and other things. And even though you think you're doing science, sometimes you're not, unfortunately. So yeah, that's how I found then Parapsychological Association and found out this underground culture that you mentioned.
Yeah. So what is your first experience of paranormal and the parapsychology aspect in your personal life? Was it from your own experiences? I know you said childhood or someone you were close to that exposed you to it.
It was mostly from my own experiences. But as I was growing up, I found out that within my family, my mom, my grandmother had different types of phenomena happening to them. But yeah, my first experience was when I was 8 years old, and we were on a trip to a beach. We went by bus that time, had a happy family day. And on our way back, I started crying on the bus because I suddenly felt that a very dear cousin had passed away.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, I was a child. I started crying. My mom was like, what is going on with you? No, maybe you had a dream. Don't worry. Things are fine. And I was crying and crying. We're talking, it's like 30 something years ago, no cell phones, no nothing. I just had the feeling like it's as if someone had told me that he had died. So anyway, my mom called me down on the trip, and when we arrived to our house, my grandparents were awake. All the lights at the house were on, so that's always like something happened. And in fact, he had passed away. So my mom was like, "Oh my God, this is very impressive." Uh,
And you
and
know
that
exactly who it was.
who it was and that he had passed away. He was like ill or anything. It was unexpected. And that happened to me several times that during my, well, while I was a teenager. The last time it was when I was around 21 years old that my grandma passed away. Same thing. So yeah, it was a phenomenon associated with ESP, extrasensory perception.
Okay.
And many things that happened to me at the time were because of that. I don't call myself a psychic or a medium because I think, it's not that I think, I know all of us have the capacity of developing ESP. And yeah, it's just that you don't know. I don't know. I didn't know at the time what it was. Also, I had some paranormal experience, like apparition sightings. And I was unaware that is also related to your developed ESP when that happens. So, as a personal opinion, I've concluded to my own experiences that my ESP is sometimes kind of opens up closes, and that's why sometimes I was like more sensitive to certain things. And yeah, mostly that was my first experience, and I wanted to understand what was happening to me.
Yeah.
Why did I see these things? How did I get this information?
I
So,
think that's the only struggle that I have between segregating the science from spirituality, because you can't do that. I don't feel that they can be separated because it's one and the same. They intersect, they're always colliding, they're always incorporated somehow. Um, and I think that that's one thing that will propel us forward if we learn within the scientific community to incorporate both, because I feel it's not a switch that we can turn on to study scientifically and then turn off when we go back home. It's something that we feel in the moment or sense in the moment, hear in the moment, whatever gift someone has. I think that it comes when it's needed as opposed to upon demand. Do you have the same opinion or something similar?
yeah, I mean, a few years ago, I would have been more of a skeptic. I tried to do all this research from a scientific and objective point of
Mm.
view. But since, I mean, once you start digging and getting into these cases, studying them, helping people, you then find out that there are some things with no explanation, and there are some things that might be solved out with on dealing with them on the spiritual side. And science does not have the answer to everything yet. I think it's a matter of time just to find a way to explain all these things from a scientific basis. But I think we're on a good path. Many important and very intelligent people are working on this. And part of the project's objectives is like to let everyone know what these people are doing. Because sometimes you get all the research gets stuck in journals that general public don't have access to because you have to pay for them. Or if you manage to have them, some of them are really complicated and you just miss the
Because
whole
over our
point.
head.
It's tough. Some of them are really hard to understand, and it's okay because we all don't have a experience on all the areas that they do the research. But you need to have a liaison, like to okay, this is I'm
Layman's
going to
term.
try. I'll try to take the information one step down in an easier language for everyone to get to understand what they are doing. And they go like, oh, wow, really? Or sometimes I get asked, why did you say that? Which is that really proven by science? Yes. Where? Here. But well, I wasn't aware completely because, unfortunately, mainstream science and also the skeptical groups try to, and to avoid this information to get to the public. Even though I remember there's the last meeting of the PA, well, it was in Mexico, the convention. They mentioned an article published in the psychological, not the parapsychological, the APA, the journal about precognition. I forgot the name of the scientist or the doctor that wrote it, but um, it said something about it was kind of proven by an experiment, and some psychologists were like, "I'm not even going to read that article because that is impossible." And it was published and fundamented, and they are just not open-minded.
That's frustrating to me because I feel, on one hand, we have movies and media that can exaggerate certain things or use it to get an extreme fear factor or a reaction out of people to make money. And then there's the actual truthful situations that those stories stemmed from to begin with. So there's always some element of truth to them. It's just being able to discern between the two. And I think that also with governments in the past, essentially shutting people down, telling them, don't speak about this because per our national security, we could use this to our advantage or somebody else could. So we don't want you speaking about it. And I think that the elder generations, especially around World War II, are just too afraid to speak about it because they had intentionally been humiliated or shut down or threatened. And so it's in our generations overcoming those fears, saying, let's not be afraid to speak about it openly. And because we essentially in this day and age have less of a fear of being persecuted in the same ways because we can advertise it on social media and in other venues that were not available back in the day. So it's our ability and responsibility to put it out there, I think.
Yeah, it is. It is part of the idea of as we were talking of Cameron. Um, I, I needed to have a way to share with people, and that's why I had my YouTube channel, which is also very new, but it's a way of communicating in a fun way sometimes, a more easy way to understand what things are going, investigations that they are doing, or my own. So yeah, we're in that process, and we have to do it also carefully for what you mentioned. But right now, you just have to be critical or analytical of what you're going to share, and for
Yeah, it's that balance of having credibility and also, allowing ourselves to get excited over things we don't understand or things that we're experiencing that we don't have words for. Because it's not that they don't exist, it's that we don't have the language to express what we're experiencing. So I think that that's all that's what it draws me to the field, I guess. And what
yeah,
I read of your biography online, you are a doctor in dental surgery in Costa Rica, which I think is really great. Have you kept that day job in addition to operating your organization? And if you focus purely on parapsychology, how did you decide to leave that field in 2012 to become an investigator, researcher, and educator in the field of parapsychology?
Well, yeah, I'm still a dentist. It's my day job, my regular job. I have a clinic in San Pedro in San Jose. And yeah, no, all the whole parapsychology and paranormal investigation became as a hobby, very strange one. But yet, no, I still want to practice. And after all these years, and after I started with the organization, well, no, actually, it was before. After when I started taking these classes and these courses at different universities, um, I decided to bring all that information into Spanish as well. And we have all these little courses that we teach at our organization because it's really hard to find reliable information in Spanish. The word parapsychology has been very, how can I say, it's been like shifted with, I mean, the people are using it into different meanings and usually associated with esoteric and metaphysical and other things. So, especially in Spanish, I don't know. In English, I think it's kind of stays. I'm not really sure, but in Spanish, you can look up for a parapsychology course, and they teach you to read the tarot cards and to do Reiki and align chakras. And it's not exact, not that, you know. Something was missed there in the translation, or I don't know. So I know lots of people that call themselves parapsychologists. I mean, in Latin America, and they have no idea what parapsychology is, or of the research, or of the who the father of parapsychology is. So yeah, so we try to. It's not that I have that what I say or the information that they say they have is the only one.
I
At
think it's
least
really
we.
cool that you're saying they bring in tarot cards, because I find astrology and numerology fascinating.
Me too, but it's not the same.
Right, right. And I've never associated that under a sub niche of parapsychology per research, but I think that it is a part of the collective consciousness and ways in which we interpret the universe and the world around us. And obviously, we have used the stars forever to find our way, and we've used synchronicities to find where we have alignment with different experiences and people. So I think it's great that they teach those things because I think
Yes.
people had less of a fear of the unknown and it wasn't, dare I say, demonized, or made to be seen as something somehow harmful when it's just a basic interpretation of energy and the world around us. Um, I think we'd have a better understanding and less fear about what those terms stand for.
Right. No, I agree. The only thing is about the concepts. That's why I call it scientific parapsychology in Spanish. Because if you just say parapsychology, it can be misunderstood for anything else. And well, we're going to talk about the organization later, but it's not that I discriminate or anything. My subdirector is an expert on esoteric practices and all of this that we're mentioning because we need to have experts in all the areas surrounding all these phenomena. But the thing is that there are branches of what parapsychology studies are like. Sometimes I think they are not enough, but they are very structured, um, and it's a way to guide the way we investigate. So that's why I kind of stand up to make that known. This is what we study. This is what these are the hypotheses. These are the theories, um, and try not to mixture it with the esoteric practices and all that. Even though I know that we're talking about channeling, channeling is a part of mediumship. Mediumship is studied in the third branch of parapsychology, which is the survival hypothesis. So there's a connection there.
Yeah, I
It's
think
just
it's
the
all education. Yeah, but when we educate ourselves about everything in the world, and even if we spend our entire life studying as much as we possibly can, we will still only get pinprick of information that is available to us in the universe.
Yeah.
You know, so it's pretty fascinating, I think.
Yes.
So you have also acquired a master's degree in cultural parapsychology in Brazil, which is fantastic.
I am.
How,
I'm still getting it. I'm still studying.
Nice. So
Yeah.
how were you introduced to that program? And do you feel it represents the areas of study that are predominantly socialized in the world today?
Yeah. Well, it was. Now you mentioned synchronicities, and my whole journey, especially this last year in 2024, has been a whole bunch of synchronicities. Even we speaking today. Um, this postgraduate course, which is like a master's in Brazil. It was funny because I was still digging and looking for more for quality. I mean, the I had on the course of Edinburgh it was really good, but those are 3-month courses, so they make a difference. They are very, very good. I wanted like some to dig deeper, and I met this person who joined our Facebook page, and he wrote to the website that he was interested in definitely what I was teaching. And I was like, okay, but I don't teach in Portuguese. I speak a little Portuguese. I understand. And then I started looking. I mean, he added me in Facebook, and he was this very famous parapsychologist and researcher and coordinator of this master's degree in this university. And I was like, wow, this guy is asking me that he wants to check out and join in a positive way what I was doing. And he published the information about the master's. Well, I wrote back, but no, the one who is interested, it's me. It's been really, really good. I think it covers a lot of the things I was looking for, including transpersonal psychology, paranthropology, philosophy, Western, Occidental, Oriental.
Does it incorporate studies from all around the world, or is it just from Brazil or those who have come out of Brazil?
Mostly from U.S. U.S. America in general, because they use what researchers in PA and what is published in most European journals. European American journals, but a lot of Brazilian research, which is really, really, really wide. And actually, I was unaware that there was so much investigation in Brazil surrounding these topics, especially in healing practices and other like spiritual healing practices. But yeah, it's good because I'm learning from all of them.
Yeah, when I joined the Parapsychological Association and the Ryan Research Center, I went to their, contact information and tried to, figure out the structure of each of the organizations. And I realized that there was global contacts in so many countries. And I realized very quickly that it is a global underworld. There are people studying this all over the world. It is just not put out there, in mainstream media in a in as positive a light as it should be. And I think that we're getting to the point where it is, because we've got channels like ours. And my goodness, we had the same exact name for our channel. We didn't even know that. I mean, that was my business name, and I met you, and she's like, hey, I have the same name for my channel. I was like, no way. She's like, I'm in Costa Rica. So I'm like, I'm in US.
Yes, actually, yes, this is one of the first. It's not from the channel. It's one of the programs that I have. Like the little, it's called Parapsychology hoy, which they tell him in Spanish. It was funny.
Fun synchronicities.
Yes.
Yeah. I was like, I have to talk to this woman. So, and actually, what you were discussing that day was poltergeist activity. And I was like, these things are so fascinating. So we can talk about that stuff too.
Sure.
Whatever you'd like. I'm also a firm believer that everybody has psychic gifts in one or multiple areas on the spectrum of parapsychology. So, what gift or gifts do you associate with or most closely align? Is it maybe one or many of the clairs, clairvoyance, clairsentience, clairaudience? You mentioned seeing apparitions, ESP. What do you align with the most?
I think definitely ESP, and most of these that you mentioned are part of my family. So yeah, ESP, I would say sometimes is hasn't been there when I need it. But yes, so in some cases, but I really would have loved to know more or perceive more. But I think I just get shut when I go to the cases, and all the objective mind just falls there and leads the way. But it's from a scientific point of view, it's better to rely on data when we go to investigations. But for my personal experiences, I would say definitely ESP. I've had premonitory dreams. I've had well, what I mentioned about the deceased people from my family that I could sense. I had also mediumistic dreams. You know, did happen once. A brother of my grandma that passed away before my mother was born, in very, very young, and he presented to me in a dream. He said who he was. I knew there was a person by name at some point. He sent a message for one of my aunts. And it was really strange. And when I woke up, I was like, hey, I had this dream with this person. He says he was your brother. His name was theirs. And in my family, well, my grandma and my aunties were really, they mourn in a very strange way. So they hide all the pictures of deceased relatives. And I but never had seen them until I mentioned this. So they took some pictures and it was him. It's interesting. There are several ways to analyze dreams, uh, even telepathy, even if I'm getting information from your mind. Not necessarily is that I had contact with someone from beyond. Parapsychology itself had different explanations to what I experienced. But in any case, it was a good message. It was an interesting experience. And yeah, listen, part. So mostly ESP. I had to say mostly ESP.
I
But
think
I
that's
don't
neat
know.
because I've had experiences across the gamut, seeing different kinds of apparitions, clairaudience, clairsentience, like all of the things that are here in one way or another. It's a very broad spectrum. So I want you to feel very comfortable and open sharing your experiences because I think everybody goes through these things. We just shove them down and try to ignore them or say, no, that was nothing. Um, but I think it's really great. When I was a child, but I still have them, but often the dreams that I have repetitiously will be of dreams that are people I'm going to meet in the future that I have not yet met. And that's always been um, something that's come through pretty strongly. So I think it's interesting that you associate your dreams with people who have already passed, and I have dreams of people who have yet to cross my path. It's like that past, present, future kind of thing. Would could meet.
There was this case once. I wouldn't say. I mean, I wouldn't know if it was Clarice. Sorry, when there was an olfactory manifestation. I forgot how do you say it in English. I'm sorry. Clarice. Well, but when it's an olfactory manifestation, like perfume or there was this case, really interesting and tough case where apparently whatever was there had been neglected when it was alive, and an elder person. And in that, when we were doing EVP sessions at that place, suddenly there was this smell that is like from someone that hasn't taken a shower in weeks, and it's like they're left on a bed. It was really, really emotional and sad. And only two of us perceived the smell from the whole team that was there. So maybe I don't know if actually there was a smell, or if it was a manifestation that only the two of us that were a little more receptive at the point perceived it. Because whatever entity or spirit was trying to communicate, or it was one of those cases. Because
Yeah.
most of them are not paranormal. Most of them are parapsychological or natural. You know, but that one was interesting because of the different types of manifestations, physical manifestations. Also, my hands and my legs got numb many times when we were in that room. So mm, it's it, I just recall that.
Yeah, that's so neat. And I thought it was fascinating when I was researching the clairs that there is a taste and there is a smell. Like all of our senses are different types of clairs.
Mm,
And there was a minimum of 8 that I crossed, and I thought that they were really fascinating. Um, to get to your organization, I know you mentioned you had about 9 other people working with you. So how
yeah.
did they become a part of your organization? Did somebody refer you, or did you meet them during different investigations? And what do they specialize in?
Well, it's been very interesting the way the organization's been growing. I started the idea on my own, and the first person I asked to be like my right hand there was Mari. She's the one I told you who's specializes in the esoteric and all this energetic side of the phenomenon, and she also does cleansings and all of these things. Because she's been my friend, she's helped me a lot, and I've seen what she does, and my skeptical side was like thrown down. No, actually, I've seen how the things that she do works, and is not like a hoax or anything. She convinced me without trying. I mean, I've seen the results of the way she works. I know not everyone does like the things in the properly, and there's all kinds of people working with this esoteric part. But well, and she knows a lot, so I wanted her to be my like my red hand, and to have this other perspective on the organization. Then we got Luis, which is our psychologist. Uh, he saw a lecture of mine somewhere, and then he asked me for an interview as well.
Nice.
And I started collaborating with a program that he had on the channel. He's from another province here, and we became really good friends. He goes a lot into the study of consciousness. He joined. So that's we well, there were the three of us for a while. Then another friend who is an artist who I've known for many, many years in different moments of my life. She said she was passionate about the subject, so she joined as well.
Does she use her art and incorporate that in visions, or is that just something
No,
she does on the side?
no, but I did say to her that there's an area of psi related to arts that we want to explore, but it's just like improper, just the idea there. And now lately we have an anthropologist, Pablo, who he's a historian and an anthropologist, who loves, and actually he got his master thesis in spiritism in Costa Rica. So yeah, he was very welcome. I contacted him for an interview, and we like clicked together. And I said, "Would you like to be a part?" And he was like, "Yes, I was wondering when you are going to ask." So it was very fun. And recently, because I quit the group that I was for over 12 years to dedicate myself to this, to my own project. So now we're starting field investigations as well. And I have a few others on that group.
So, what do you guys do? How do you get a case? How do people find you? And what do you do when you go to somebody's house? Do you go to somebody's house? Do they come to you? How does that work?
Yes, mostly they email us or contact us via social media. We do a previous interview here, like video call. So for them to tell us what the problem is, what's happening. Sometimes it is the visit is not required. Sometimes people get scared because some things, and we take the case, but we just do recommendations. Ask them to make a journal, which is something I learned from Luisa Ryan. For everything, make a journal, make a journal of your dreams, or make a journal of the phenomena that is happening, the time of the day, who was in the house, what happened, to keep that log. And it's easier to analyze what phenomena. For example, if it's a poltergeist case or a PK case, you can see, okay, every time that Mary was in the house, the phenomena happened. Okay, so let's think what's Mary going? How's her? How are her emotions? Is she stressed? What's happening there? Does she has any hormonal problems? Is she medicated? Because sometimes it's just that
Mhm.
we don't know how it happens. We do know it happens. So a poltergeist or poltergeist is when it's recurrent, RSPK, recurrent spontaneous psychokinesis. But sometimes it's just occasional movement of objects, and it can be triggered because of stressful situations or depression or, well, the different things.
So, for those who don't know about poltergeist activity beyond what they see in scary movies, what they put in there is, things being thrown across the kitchen or drawers being thrown open or, very extreme elements of movement or interaction with an entity they cannot see or an energy they cannot see in our physical world. What have you come across in your cases of poltergeist activity? Is it similar to that? Is it that extreme? Is it just little things here and there?
It depends. I've seen both. It's not like in the movies. Definitely not like in the movies, but sometimes there can be like, for example, you can see the lamps on the roof like spinning, which is it's really strong. Or you can see a chair being dropped,
Mhm.
and small things being thrown. That happens a lot. But just to clarify there are, according to research, two types of poltergeist. It's a small percentage is called poltergeist associated to a place, which is very rare, associated also with paranormal phenomena itself.
Mhm.
And the like 90 something percent of the cases is provoked by a human agent, a living person, which is channeling that energy, that's stress out. How, we don't know. That's the missing piece. But provoking certain things to happen, including the movement of objects or materializations or upwards or
Yep.
things like that.
So, with the first type of place, is it to Is it associated with perhaps a location that somebody passed away, or how they passed away, or land and an event that took place? How does that work?
Well, it's associated to a place, but we don't know if it's because mostly residual hauntings are like a like a print, like an echo that is on a place and is not going to actively um, interact with the investigator or with anyone.
Mhm.
So when it's residual, you just people just happen to see the same apparition. The lady in the white dress walking down the stairs.
Mhm.
Everyone claiming to go to this haunted hotel sees the same thing. So and she is the apparition is never going to
So it's like kind of
notice
like a
you. Yeah,
recording, the footsteps walking
exactly,
down the hall, in the same
exactly.
place, just over and over again.
Exactly. So poltergeist is not residual. I mean, not even the one associated to a place. I think personally that it might be associated to an entity.
Mhm.
Um, there are some differences. For example, the recurrent part, the RSPK that happens with living agents does not happen with place, with the ones associated to place. It's more like, okay, they throw a door, they close the door, but the phenomena will take some time for it like to recover,
Mhm.
to gather energy again to do something else. Instead, the poltergeist caused by a living agent would be throwing doors, and in the afternoon they will move a toy, and in the evening something else would happen, or a pot would drop in the kitchen, and so on. So when it's that kind of active phenomena, you think straight, okay, this is a person
Mhm.
causing it.
Uh,
The other one is also very rare.
yeah. The understanding that I had, I guess also incorporating spirituality, was that just like we all as human beings have lessons when we come into this life to learn and themes to experience, that an entity that has residual negative energy will reach out to us through those means, but it's because they are reaching out to a particular person because the individual has a higher energy and something that they can help them with, help them evolve so that they no longer have whatever trouble they're experiencing. And I don't know that from a scientific standpoint, they would be interested in going over that. Um, but that was my understanding of it as I've aged. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that. Well,
But yeah, as you said, from a scientific point of view, when we get into paranormal phenomena, we don't know
yeah.
what we're dealing with. We might get some information, some names related piece, or even if there's a medium helping out that might get to interpret. We don't use mediums during investigations. I like to rely on the data and well, the whole human experience of the family living there. But sometimes, in some cases, we do ask for after the investigation for a medium to do a lecture or just to do a walkthrough of the house to see what they get and compare results. I used to be really skeptic about that until I found a medium that she is great, and I know that it's possible to get all the information. uh, um, she says she contacts spirits, but the detail of what she tells you is amazing. So
That's neat. I always find it fascinating when they see Tyler Henry on TV or these very large personalities that have these amazing gifts. So I think it's really neat when you get to cross somebody who has those abilities.
yeah,
And I also saw cryptozoology on your website as an area of research. And for those who don't know, cryptozoology is the study of the unknown, legendary, or extinct animals whose present existence is disputed or unsubstantiated, such as, Bigfoot, the Loch Ness Monster. chupacabra, the Jersey Devil, things like that. Is there a certain area of folklore that one or more of your cases has introduced you to?
Well, yeah, actually, I don't call myself like a cryptozoologist or anything. It's just that I wanted our organization to be able to help with all the areas of the paranormal. That's why we added it. Um, there's been people with experiences related to folklore, some legendary, um, entities, very, not only from Costa Rica, but from Latin America, like the cadejos, which is like a dog. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's like a black dog with red eyes that sometimes just to guide you home, sometimes just to scare the drunk man. It's like folklore. But when I was researching for my book, uh, I did got some interesting stories about, even we don't have a Bigfoot. We're tropical Central America, but in the Caribbean, so they described an experience with something that you would associate with a Bigfoot. So I was like, what? But why is that here? So they described like a huge, like 2 meter ape like creature that was knocking and actually broke like a window from their house. Also, there was this lady which worked at the University of Costa Rica, and she and other members of it was like the management officers from one of the faculties went on a trip, and they described like a wolf-like creature,
Mhm.
like huge. Here we don't have wolves. Uh, like very high, black with red eyes, following them on they went to a very rural area, and they had to walk like a mile to get to the like a supermarket, small one. And when they were going back to the cabin, they this creature was following them.
Hmm.
And I don't know how to do was a werewolf or a skinwalker or what. It's not something common, but if you tell me this, I mean, someone asks me for help, I would go and definitely try to do the research. So that's where we added it. And
Hmm.
also to pursue well, now we have an anthropologist, as I said,
Uh-huh.
to see how that folklore and legends and beliefs work, and how the phenomena of those specific areas. There's also what they call, monkey is mono in Spanish. They call it la mona, which is supposed to be uh, a shapeshifter. And
The skinwalkers. Okay.
yes, like the skinwalkers, with it's also like Nahuatl, from Mexico, and
Mhm.
some other Mayan, like Guatemalan. Like we're all very close together. Yeah, so it's mostly not to go on a Bigfoot hunt, but to analyze all these experiences from the people, and and of course they say there's some strange creature lurking somewhere. Definitely, I would go and check it out.
Yeah. I think it's very fascinating. And I think a lot of things we're figuring out now through quantum physics, is that we have so many different dimensions and realities and experiences, and everything's happening at the same time and has happened at the same time. So when we have, things like deja vu or premonitions, what we're doing is uh, coming across a message from ourselves or crossing that path with another dimension for a brief moment. And I think that that's a pretty cool concept to, um, and in the future, I'd like to bring on quantum physicists and, talk about all of that. Cause I think that intertwining of science and spirituality is really fascinating. Is there a particular case that stands out in your mind as being, the most memorable?
There are a few, but there was a recent one. I don't know. I think I was talking about it on the Niagara where we met at the meeting. Um, there was this child who had epilepsy, and he was also autistic in a high level. And it was a very complex case because they moved to a place that was inherited, and they believed the place was haunted because there were some strange phenomena going on there. But there was also the movement of objects, uh, the spinning lamps and all that. I recall that from that case in particular. The interesting thing was that we believe that the child with all his conditions was the agent.
Mm-hmm.
He had a very specific type of epilepsy, very rare, and the doctors were having a hard time medicating him properly because of some physiological things and genetical things that he had. So whenever he gets he got like seizures, like a crisis. Afterwards, there would be poltergeist activity in the house.
You said that they
So
inherited the house. Did that come from family or just something they moved in?
from family.
And did the family also experience those before the
No,
was there? Huh.
no, that they think it was the person that I think it was her grandfather,
Mm-hmm.
who was very strange, by the way, very bizarre guy with what he liked, and even the house. I said like it was a beautiful house. It was like a mini Winchester house because it had passages and ladders and rooms, and it was very strange. Yeah, it was curious.
How old was the house? Because we lived in a farmhouse that was 200 years old, and the staircases were obviously much more narrow and steep and things like that.
Oh no, that house it wasn't old, maybe 20 years old.
Oh, so in
20, yeah, 20, 30 years. Yes, no, it was definitely, it was beautiful. It had like a third floor with, it was all windows, you could see all the stars. Oh, it was wonderful. But
was he an inventor? Did the gentleman build the house himself or design it himself?
yes, he designed it. Yes, I said he had like, he was with, they believe it was him hunting the house. There were several things like noises and well, it was the poltergeist activity. The electronics were behaving strangely. Also, they had security cameras that start following nothing. They start the ones that follow the movement.
Yeah.
There was also a video from that camera where there were some keys like hanging. It was the keys from our room. It had like 2 or 3 keys hanging, and you could see how they were like being pushed up. Yeah. Yes. And the most impressive videos were the ones surrounding the child. Um, but I think that's the most significant case. After the investigation and all that, giving the recommendations, explaining what a poltergeist was, they thought they were also like, or this grandfather or demons, or they were really, really scared.
Does the activity still go on today? Do you guys follow up with cases that you've had in the past?
Yeah, no, they moved. They actually, when they contacted us, they were going to rent a house. The child was very scared of being there. But also, we explained what an agent is. So things start getting better. And when he finally got regulated from epilepsy, things stopped. Crisis, poltergeist stopped, and they are doing really well.
Wonderful.
And I think that there hasn't been any report of activity at the house without the child. Yeah. Yeah, it was last December.
Oh, awesome. What do you think is the biggest misconception that people have about parapsychology?
I think I think they don't understand that what we are doing, it's trying to prove and looking for an explanation scientifically. I think we are just doing what people do on the paranormal TV shows. We chase and we run and we want to record and we do want to record, but yeah, I think they miss the point. Sometimes when I announce a lecture or something, sometimes I get really negative comments, like if we were just wasting everyone's time, and I don't get why. You have the right of not believing. I'm not asking you to believe. I'm asking you to do the research. Don't believe me. Just research by yourself. I can recommend what to read if you're interested. And the closer you get to the phenomena and to help the people and to understand what's going on. I mean, I know I have certain ways of understanding the phenomena that I might not put it on a paper because I don't have enough evidence or a way to fundament it, like publication. But it works. I mean, the way I approach poltergeist cases, the way I explain it to the person, um, avoiding making them feel guilty of being the agent. Sometimes there's people that do not want to believe what you're saying. They prefer to believe there's anyone in the house. So there's a way that I've developed, like to explain all this. And the notebook thing, the journal thing is very, very important to keep the log of events.
Yeah. I can imagine it would be very stressful if someone approached me and said that you're the one, the origin or the cause of this, the perception. I think the biggest fear is being seen as negative or being demonized again, or
Exactly.
by your peers and your social group, because instinctively we want to fit within the group and we don't want to be cast out, because back in the day, if you were cast out, you would have died because you needed the group to survive. Today, we don't need, all of that, the community in the same way to hunt and gather and things of that nature, but we still emotionally and psychologically and spiritually need one another. So that fear of being cast out because of being different must cause a tremendous amount of anxiety for people.
Yes. And a very important thing there that really what we focus on, and the whole idea of the YouTube channel that interviews the diffusion of the information is to take the fear away from the people. The fear away from the people experience the phenomena, take away the fear of everyone interested in the subject. Because once you do that and you empower them back, it makes a difference.
Yeah.
And it's really bad that I know people likes to get scared. We're getting close to Halloween, and
Yes.
I'd get their horror movies and all that stuff. But once you live it in your balls, once you have a presence in your room or a phenomena developing in your own home, uh, it's not nice. That work is not nice, and it's really hard to control that fear. Um, but it's part what we do, and maybe we can talk about that later on.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's really interesting. So, how is your education at the University of Edinburgh, as a part of the Kessler Parapsychological Unit, influenced your approach to paranormal studies? Did the course that you took or the courses you have taken deepen your understanding of a particular niche within parapsychology, or just the overall presentation that exists?
well, it was a game changer. It's amazing. I my teacher was Caroline Watt, and it was great. Mm. I know about parapsychology. I know some basic concepts. There was a priest. very famous in Latin America and Brazil, Padre Oscar González Quevedo, who wrote a lot of books, and he brought parapsychology to Latin America. Uh, well, I do some things, but in the Edinburgh's course, the no, it it was very well explained. Caroline is from the PA as well, and it opened my eyes and brought me the
Have her book right here.
yeah, that's one. That's first. And the other one, Introduction to Parapsychology with Irvin and Caroline. It's the basis from the course. They explain everything really good, and they give you like the articles to fundament what they are saying. They also well, so talk about the skeptic side, the pros, the contras. The way parapsychology is today. And what I loved is how much I learned about ESP, about psychokinesis, about everything, so I could apply that with a basis to what I was doing. So it was step one for me, and it really, really changed my perspective. That's why I mentioned earlier that I think everyone, every paranormal investigator should know parapsychology.
Mhm. So, what motivated you to found the Costa Rican Society of Parapsychological and Paranormal Studies? I know you had mentioned that you were working with another group before that. I'm not sure what that group was. So, how did you come about founding your organization?
Well, they are a great group, but they are focused on the field investigations. And I wanted to go beyond. I was a director for 4 years with them, co-director, and it was really hard to try to get their approval. Well, you know what? What they have the group when a group has a goal. Sometimes it's hard just to add objectives or things that you want to do. We were not on the same page, so I decided, with their approval, to start my own project, uh, specifically for education or experimental practices. Just try to replicate some of those ESP experiments. Let's see how it works, uh, um, and to deal with the phenomena in a different way. Because I was learning from all these things that I was studying,
Yeah.
and I wanted to bring the information into Spanish. That was the original. I wanted to translate articles, basically. That was like the first idea, and to make our YouTube channel, maybe to start sharing those points of view.
Mhm.
That's how it began. It was during the pandemic, so I had a lot of time. And just the idea was growing and growing. Uh, Certain people started to come together to uh, help out. So objectives started getting. We got more ideas, and from
Find your mission.
so yeah, and then it started growing by itself, and now we have international honorary members. Now we're with the PA, with AMIPSO, which is a association, and it's for a worldwide association for paranormal and supernatural studies, but it was founded in South America. So I think there's a representative in the US, but it's like not very active yet. It's a very new organization, and it's been very good too, because they hear what I have to say about the academic part. It's a whole network of paranormal investigators, and we're supporting each other and learning from each other, and it's great. So look, we joined that as well. Now there's another project coming up, uh, about research into consciousness. So yeah, it's growing and growing and growing, and synchronicities are happening, and I've been able to get interviewed in some shows. Some of them haven't been on air yet, but it's going to give us a lot of visibility. And what I want is to be able to give this information to everyone.
That's great. I think that's really exciting. And what kind of support and opposition have you received from the scientific community within Costa Rica or worldwide? As we're online and social media and our reach is so much further, just naturally, have you, I presume in this day and age, you've received more support than opposition?
Yes. I think, besides a few negative comments, as I said, when I announce a lecture or a course or something, which I don't see why. Besides that, scientific community here in Costa Rica, I don't think they even know we exist.
I think
There is
really.
here there's not like a group of skeptics, like in other countries that they have organized groups of skeptics. Most people have been very supportive, from the Cloak project and on YouTube and all that. You can always get a negative comment or something, but besides that, I think we're doing fine. Um, and it doesn't matter. I think when you have your goal set, it's a positive thing that you're trying to do.
Yeah.
Sorry, just
Yes, yeah.
ignore the bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
But sometimes when, for example, when academics within academic groups, you do see more rejection from the skeptical side or some scientific groups. But it hasn't been right. Personally, it hasn't happened to me.
I think they just need to feel included. I kind of feel like it's middle school, and if you can come kindly and build rapport with people and, build those relationships and take their work into consideration, and they understand that we're not trying to be negative or reject it. And they have a pure fear of being rejected from publications, from educational institutions. There's different fears that they naturally have and have developed over the years. So I think in our venue, it's easier to make them feel welcome, perhaps. And maybe
Right.
with us doing these interviews and incorporating their work and talking about what they're researching, we can make a more of a family as opposed to, segregation between government institutions and researchers and those who have gifts in parapsychology and the general public. For me, it's bringing those four types of people together as one unit. That is my goal on a global scale, just like you. Um, just making people educated, making them understand that this exists worldwide, that it's nothing to hide from or to fear. And that's really what my goal is.
Yeah. No, I totally agree.
So, do you think that cultural factors in different countries, say Costa Rica, play a large role in paranormal belief and investigations? And do you think they differ drastically per country, um, or they're fairly similar across the board?
Well, that's a very interesting question. I think there are differences related to the cultural beliefs, and that is something which is it's been researched, anthropologically. But so it's curious that some of the most common phenomena do share like the same characteristics, no matter where the country or no matter the place. So I think it's nice to look into those differences. How, for example, all these kinds of folklore of goblins and dwarfs and fairies and all of those creatures influence, Ireland, UK, but there is some of that also here in a different way. So it's good and interesting to compare how the same type of mythical or folkloric entities are interpreted by different cultures. and what they do and how they are different or really. So yeah, but some of the most popular phenomena like apparitions and all the poltergeist parapsychological phenomena associated with people, they are the same. They are the same.
Very nice. So, how does your work in parapsychology intersect with traditional science and scientific disciplines? Like, what kind of equipment do you use for your investigations, or maybe theories or methodologies? How do you blend the two?
Well, when I started, we used to follow the mainstream popular investigation as seen on TV. What ghost hunters were doing, we were trying to replicate. And now I know, and I even follow. I had this book that is called "Investigating Ghosts" from Benjamin Radford, which is a skeptic, and he criticizes a lot of things. Uh, sorry, my daughter. And he criticizes a lot of things about methodology in all these popular investigations. And he's totally right. Says, for example, the basis of the scientific method is observation. I mean, if you turn all the lights off in an investigation, you're hiding yourself from being able to see. So why sometimes they say because of the electricity and it affects electromagnetism. Yeah, but there is not a scientific basis for some of those things that we believe so from the TV, from the shows. There, it might have something to do with it, but it's not like definitely is related. So we do some investigations with lights on, and then we do it like, okay, from now lights on. Let's see what happens.
Mhm.
So I tried from all those criticisms from that book, from other skeptics, I've designed a methodology for our group. We use for recorders, night vision cameras, regular cameras, thermometers. Mostly everything is to gather the data, not to use the K2 meters or electromagnetic meters to ask questions and expect the answers and walking around with thing all over because that's not the way it works. It would capture different signals from if you're carrying it on your hand. So it would bias the results. So we're trying to gather everything as clean as we can with a certain methodologist and applying concepts from parapsychology, even some other concepts from different. I like to read a lot, so different books that present different ways to investigate it. Even it's different from parapsychology, and they describe methodologies. For example, center. Okay, we are on a building. Let's see, we have 8 cameras. So it's better to investigate only the two larger hotspot areas, where most phenomena occurs, and cover it with the cameras and, just to have that attention there. Because one camera in each room would not, if something happens, would only get you one angle of the event. So it's not, okay, great, you got it. But, and from the other side, then this one is a friend of mine who's also the PA, Ramses, who is from Parapsychological research in Mexico. Yeah, and I showed him a video of a materialization lab that we had, and he was like, "Yeah, it's cool that you got it, but from the other angle, uh, we needed to have the other angle." And I was so excited about the thing. You can see the phenomena happening, and yeah, he's totally right. So we've been learning to apply these methodologies. uh, We rely on the methodology and the experience of the people rather than only on the equipment. And there's I'm sorry, a bunch of new toys that I call that they sell for $200, $300, like Kinect cameras and SLS, and a lot of things that it's just for fun. It's
Good.
got no scientific. fundament.
Well, it sounds like you're using objectivity and critical thinking in work. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, that's the whole idea.
Yeah. Have you faced any challenges in gaining credibility, or do you perceive challenges to have uh, been along the way?
And thankfully, I haven't. I've always been like very transparent, and if we go to a place that there's nothing, I mean, I just say there's nothing here, or we had maybe we just had no evidence of anything.
Okay.
So no, I thankfully no, and I always say my name. I always give my name, show my face. I'm honest to the people, so if they have questions, I would just address them and answer them.
Yeah.
So there's no reason, I think.
Yeah. So, what is the relationship between parapsychology and noetic sciences in your research? So, from what I understand, noetic science entails the study of human intelligence, consciousness, and reality through the lens of science. For example, how thoughts can cause physical effects. How do noetic sciences get represented in your research, or is that just another category that you're willing to research in the future?
Well, not exactly because when you study PK phenomena or psychokinesis, there's this area which includes healing, self healing, and also somatization of different kinds in unconscious somatization. So it's very related. The way PK phenomena could cause a response or could start a healing process in your own body, in someone else perhaps, or the scratches, the bruises that sometimes people associate with demonic activity. I'm not saying that it can't be spiritually caused, but there's an explanation through parapsychology in that area. So it's related. It's also the study of consciousness. It's not only of noetic, but also uh, once you start digging deep into parapsychology and ESP and filling some gaps, you start analyzing how the consciousness is working. If some of the phenomena is related to that expansion of consciousness, to that access to that collective consciousness, so it's totally related. Yeah, I had the chance to talk to Halani Wabe from IONS in August when on the convention, and it was amazing the way. Well, we were talking about the same thing in different words.
Yeah, like,
So yeah, hopefully I could. They are doing a lot of research within the ions about energy healing and Reiki and measuring all these effects. So even though it might not be the main area of what I'm doing, it's totally into our research. Mostly like informative research. Not we're not developing experiments or on that, but we do on the education side.
so I know you said you offer workshops and courses on paranormal topics. Are they bilingual? Can people from all over the world join? And what kinds of courses do you offer?
Well, yes, they're mostly in Spanish because in English you have the advantage of having great courses like the ones that Ryan gives, teaches, and a full of formations that you can take. And so that's the for English speakers. That's the first place I would recommend that one, and Costa Parapsychology Units course, Introduction to Parapsychology. They are great. And in the right one, you'll have you, you'll find in different areas. You should look into them. But I never thought of doing courses in English. I might if someone wants to. Of course, I would.
On this,
I
for
would love
viewers that
to.
are watching, and then what do you teach for your courses?
Yes, well, I teach an introduction to parapsychology course as well. I teach a basic understanding of paranormal investigation and paranormal phenomena with cases and methodology. We have one that is paranthropology. That's the anthropologist is the one who teaches that one. Pablo. Larry has his own course about the origins of magic in history. It's mostly historical, not practical. We're going to have a demonology course, which Gustavo from Uruguay, who is also one of our honorary members, will be teaching it. In case you will want that also within a historical context. And there are a few to come.
Nice.
Mostly for now, we have those. We are with your speak Spanish, or we have a fight club, which is it works like a book club. It's free, and it's about gathering once a month to discuss either a documentary or an article or some chapters of a book, and talk. You know how to give that space for that discussion. And we have lectures. Some are free, some are with a little bit of contribution to for the project, but mostly it's available for everyone.
So, what advice would you give someone who's interested in pursuing a career in paranormal investigation?
Well, first of all, uh, ask yourself, what are your goals when doing this? Do you want to chase ghosts and get scared and with a camera and visit like abandoned places? You want to do it for the adrenaline, or are you going to take time to do research and really try to understand the phenomenon? So once you find your motivation, why? If you want to do the adrenaline thing, just have it clear and be sure that what you're going to do is mostly for entertainment, your own and your viewers, if you're going to have a channel or something. But if you want to get on the other side, the first thing is to study. Study the best way to do investigations, study parapsychology, everything you can to fulfill all that information. And if you are going to do home investigations, uh, my best advice is to join a group first that has the expertise, because you're dealing with the mental health of people and you have to be very responsible on the way you address an investigation in a house. One single phrase like, oh my God, I think there's a demon here. Or, oh my God, I saw an entity there, can have very bad repercussions on the family. So ethics above everything. Better to learn from a serious group first. If you want to go on your own or get your own group, first learn how to properly do that, and always think of the people first and the evidence second.
Perfect. So, what's next for your organization and what future research projects are you most excited about?
Well, there are a lot of doors that opened recently. We have this project together with several countries that we will uh, announce soon, related to the investigation of consciousness, and everything is in Spanish, where we don't have as much opportunities as English speakers that many people are doing this. So there's that project. Personally, we have another one that is called Conscious Wellness, Bienestar Consciente, and it's about giving the tools to all these people that are experiencing phenomena, or even that maybe they're not having a good time emotionally, or suffering from depressions or certain things. So it's a program based in meditation, mindfulness, and a lot of these resources and that I'm developing to try to give. For example, with these poltergeist cases that we had, you explain things, you explain the phenomena, explain the agent. You recommend to do exercise, find a hobby, try to focus on something else. But what is something else? What hobby? What sport? What? So sometimes you say, yeah, I mentioned you should do something, but what? So that's my goal through this program. Okay, what you can do? Okay, let's start here. Let's try to meditate. There are some visualization exercise as well that you could use to, if you're experiencing a residual haunting, for example, you need to empower the person back.
Yeah.
So this is a whole idea, and the masters in Brazil has been giving me a lot of tools within those things. So yeah, I'm working on that. I actually in my channel I have a couple of videos talking about it, but the idea is to make it like kind of available program.
I
So
think that's
so
great. And I think it's interesting that we're also using spirituality and meditation
yeah,
on top of this. I think it's wonderful.
yeah, and meditation scientifically is proven to help.
Mhm.
So so I like to reach out to all those tools that we know that help, and and put it available to the people. It's been helping me a lot, and I think this is part of sharing here to share the knowledge.
So, what are your hopes for the future of the field as a whole? How do you see the future of parapsychology and paranormal research evolving in the next 10 to 20 years?
Well, I hope that from how things are going, that it gets accepted as a science again, because it was recognized as a science before, uh, parapsychology itself. And I think I truly hope that all this network of paranormal investigators would start seeing this other side of the scientific basis and applying it to what they are doing. So all the research and all the field investigations get meaningful results. Why would you go get $1,000 camera and all these gadgets to go to a place and investigate if what you're researching is not going to be useful or
Yeah.
valid, maybe to explain the phenomenon? Why don't you try to do things properly so you can use that even maybe to publish something, at least a case report with a good basis? So I hope this boundary between the academic side and the field side would melt, and they can start to share more of each other point of view.
Wonderful. And last question, as hindsight is 2020, if you could speak to yourself as a child and you could soothe any concern about the future she may have, what advice would you provide to her?
Well, I think I would say don't be afraid. The moments that you were afraid of certain things, you just go for it, jump on it.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
But thank you, Isla. I really enjoyed having you on our podcast. I look forward to working with you in the future and sharing what we both learn amongst our peers and with our viewers. For those that would like to reach out to Isla online, her website, contact, and organizational information is below. So thanks again, everyone, and I'll see you next week.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you all for staying to the end. And anything you need, you can reach me. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.